Welcome to my YouTube channel, Dr. Amina Ali. For all my viewers, today we are joined by Dr. Amina Ali. Well, I don't know how to describe her. She is this most amazing personality. She does so much wonderful work for women and girls. And I think I'm going to allow her to introduce herself about who she is and the kind of work she does.
Yes, thank you so very much, Julie, for allowing me on and to get connected to your audience. Thank you so very much. Well, I am Amina Ali. I am a Gulf War veteran from 1990, those that are familiar with the Gulf War in Saudi Arabia. And I served my country for 11 years, getting trained classically in medicine, not for the patriotic reasons that we thought. It was someone that was just going to pay for medical school. So, but I ended up understanding that life needed solutions. And one of the biggest things that I came away with is one, a career in medicine that spanned 30 years. And I just recently retired to set my sights on education. And one of the things that allowed me to move forward is after rearing my children and allowing myself to get a little older, a little wise, a little more gray, I realized that there is a great need in human service work. And that led me to the benevolent work that I stumbled upon in the United Nations. When I got out of the military, I needed a bridge, if you will, from military to civilian work. And I stumbled upon this little organization called the World Health Organization. And that was an organization that was designed and divined to bring solutions to problems around the world, not just in the United States or Canada, but globally. And it worked toward the demographics and the data that comes from each of the countries. And they set aside time to develop solving techniques, first thematic, of course, and then sectioned for whatever country that they're talking about. And I was very interested in what they were doing in West Africa. And then it got to Central and East Africa. And that led me to understanding that there was a place for me. It came too easy, and it came to understanding, too much of an understanding that there was work to be done. So long and short, in 2015, there was a little organization that was formed called the Federation of International Gender and Human Rights, which was a spinoff of the work that I was doing for the WHO in a private NGO sector of my life. And it allowed me to understand that there was work to be done that I can do personally. So that spun into a organization now that is newly formed as of 2022. That is Harbor Heritage University, which I am now a rector for. And that's the first and only organization of higher learning or collegiate learning for gender and human rights. And I'm very, very proud to say that this has opened up a myriad of people that want to do the same thing that I want to do, which is find solutions to the problems. You know, we're tired of talking about the problems and exacerbating the problems and wanting to make minutia of what it is that people are doing. So we're setting our sights to be educators and leaders in this fight for renewable and sustainable solutions in gender and human rights.
For my viewers, the reason Dr. Amina Ali is here on this platform is because of this organization which she represents. Dr. Amina Ali, tell me, why did you shift to the NGO sector and the kind of work you do as part of this organization?
Sure. Well, first of all, the shift was because it was needed. You cannot, in Islam, it teaches you that you cannot be knowledgeable of a problem or a situation and not render some kind of help, even if it's just a simple prayer. But I knew that this was going to go a little deeper than just prayer. And I knew that there had to be boots on the ground and people that are really dedicated to doing this. So because it came easy, it was not easy to shift. I mean, it was easy to shift, and it was not easy for me to stay in medicine, knowing that there was, there's a big privilege and entitlement that comes with being in medicine. But there aren't many people that would really want to put their stethoscope down and really get into the needs of the underserved, the unserved, and the disadvantaged. And I think that they need a voice. And not saying that my voice is audible for the world, but it is something that I can raise to be able to sustain this work going forward. So this is one of the reasons why I got into it. And then the understanding of what it is that I would bring to the table. being that I was in the military and I was around the world, and things that came to me in the military as far as the same problem in different organizations, and different ways that people were muting this. They were hiding it behind the fact that it was just a certain caste of people or a certain class of people, or that there was a certain demographic that was only given to a certain people that deserve it, or that aren't doing anything to change it. I figured, maybe they don't know how to, but those that are closest to the problem are closest to the solution. So the NGO was formed because we needed to bring solutions. I was so tired, Julie, of hearing so many entitled people speak about what their little jobs. Oh, we went over and did a mission here, but you only did it for 3 months. Or you did it just to take Instagram pictures, or you did it just to show people what you're doing and just to get more money, but you really weren't doing anything to help the people. You were helping yourself. So it hurt me a little bit to see this. And these were people that I respected in the medical community, people that I respected in the military, people that I respected as a retiree in medicine, those that know better, that weren't doing better. So the NGO was formed to be the catalyst, to show that change can happen in small bites, but they can be consumable bites that will allow those that need the work or need the help to be able to get it.
Very true. So let us talk a little bit more about the Federation. I understand that it was founded in 2022, and you have some ambassadors around the world and the kind of work they're doing. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, the Federation of International Gender and Human Rights was started in 2015. Harbor Heritage was started in 2022. But in 2015, I had a girlfriend of mine that was involved in a domestic violence situation, and she died. She was actually killed by her husband. She decided to go back to try to make it work, as a good woman would want to do for her marriage. But she just didn't realize how dangerous it was. And the most dangerous part of domestic violence is either leaving the first time or trying to return the second time. And hers was returning the second time, because now he knows that that this is not a good situation. So he has to keep you here. And of course, the charm doesn't work anymore. And the flowers are not suitable anymore. So you have to do something a little bit more drastic. So of course that leads to a little bit more violence, a little deeper violence. So it goes from verbal to physical to catastrophic violence. And hers was the catastrophic. And she was killed. She was actually killed in her home. And it was the day that she decided to come back home. And he said, "Oh, you left me, so you're not going to leave me anymore," and end up killing her. So we saw this as a wake-up call. We, the practitioners, we, her friends, we women, saw this as, okay, this can't happen to any more of us. Not saying that any of our husbands wouldn't be a target or couldn't be. We don't ever want to say no one is ever able not to do certain things. But we want to recognize what it is that they're doing as they're doing it, so that we can give cause to reason. So her plight, and once we heard, we kind of buried the fact that this will never happen again. And we allowed us to form a pact, and it was 8 of us. And we said that we were not going to allow another one of us to go on this ground for domestic violence. Excuse me. And it chokes me up a little bit because it's so meaningful to me, even so many years later, that we were never going to allow another woman to die by the hands of her husband that we knew of. So each of us in our different fields of medicine, some allopathic, some naturopathic, some alternative, we all decided that we were going to get together and get this group of women together. So we went literally around the world, and we got women back when it was, what was it called? Skype. When we were Skyping, we Skyped women into meetings, and we got them to tell their story and to share their experience. And those women that were survivors of domestic violence, those women that were disfigured or disformed because of domestic violence, to tell their story and to tell it on camera. And one of the things that we came up with was a common denominator, that the men knew who they were coming into the relationship. They saw the vulnerabilities. They saw the things that were happening to the women prior to them getting together, and they sought them out. It's almost like a heat-seeking missile that all of the men knew, and they said it. And this is what the women repeated. All of the women saw that all the women were seen as victims. And it was the victimization that men that pray can spot, like you can spot me wearing a black hijab. It is so evident, and it's such a marker on us that so many of us are not able to see it within ourselves. So this is what we decided. So 2 of the 8 of us are psychologists. So they went to work. One was a clinical psychologist, other was a behavioral psychologist. And they sat down and they like didn't sleep for like 3 days trying to come up with a plan of action to be able to recognize it. They sought with behavioral psychologists, other forensic psychologists. They went to the FBI and they dealt with the FBI behavioral analysis unit. And they sought these things, these criminal elements that they wanted to buy in these women. And they wanted the women to see what they came up with. So it was a didactic that was like 30 pages long, and it spoke to different behaviors and causalities and communication models and styles. And then we brought in the word emotional intelligence, which wasn't a word back then, but it was a word that we used then to say that the seeking missile was the vulnerability that you showed. So it was the behavioral piece, so the behavioral analysis piece. So we got into the nuts and bolts of what it is that these women were displaying. And we taught this. We taught to show that if you speak about certain things more than once, certain people hear it. So instead of speaking about what he did to you, speak about what you're not going to allow anymore. Speak about the things that are behaviorally toxic to you that you're not going to allow and present in your story, in your speech. And they are things that are not going to allow you to understand that this is what it is that you are going to show as your spoken word, as the things that you are going to be doing for yourself. And this changed dramatically. Just the certain things that we do in our trainings and the leadership courses that we have teach women that certain things that they do, they don't even realize they do it. They show themselves vulnerable, and men see that. And when they see that, they hone in, and now you're their soulmates and their newest lover. And it's only because they see something in you that they want to prey on.
So it is overwhelming to see what you're doing. I think you're doing some wonderful work. And well, thank you for being on this platform. For the viewers, we'll be sharing some resources. But as very rightly Dr. Amina Ali said, that these organizations are not for the Instagram post or the Facebook post. This organization are the ones which are doing actual work. So they may not have as many videos and photographs to support their work, but here I thought to present Dr. Amina Ali to you. Thank you so much for joining me today and taking out time. I know you're busy.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you for highlighting the work, because that's what's necessary. Getting the voice out, and word of mouth is still the best form of advertising ever. So thank you so very much for having me.